Welcome to your October 2021 horoscope. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be covering the major transits for the month ahead using tropical astrology and the whole sign system. I strongly recommend that you watch your horoscope for your ascendant sign first and foremost, because it will be the most accurate for you overall. Having said that, if you've got time to watch your horoscopes for your sun and moon sign as well, please do so, because the sun sign horoscope will tell you more about your life goals and your career, whereas the moon sign horoscope will pertain more to your family life and your current living circumstances. Now, I've got an exciting promotion which will run from the first 2 weeks from when these videos go live. You'll be able to book a 45-minute Zoom reading with me where I will use astrology and tarot to answer questions that you have about one major area of your life in extensive detail. This service is normally priced at $120, but you can book this one for the first 2 weeks only for just $90. If you want to book this reading with me, or if you want to see the list of my services that are available, you can head to the link in the description box below. Now, before I get into the horoscopes, I just wanted to say to you guys, thank you so much for all of your warm words of welcome. I read all of your comments on my horoscope series for September, and I was actually quite overwhelmed by how much love and support you guys were showing me. So thank you so much. And of course, a big thank you to Lada for giving me the opportunity to present to your amazing audience. And now let's dive into the horoscopes. Hi Leo, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your October 2021 horoscope. On the 1st of October, Venus in Scorpio in your 4th house will square Jupiter in Aquarius in your 7th house. The 4th house represents property matters, your family and your home life, whereas the 7th house represents your one-on-one relationships. Now, Jupiter expands whatever it touches, and because this is a square aspect, it's likely that you will be feeling some kind of pressure to make a commitment to someone or something that you don't really feel ready for. Now, this could be pressure for you to move out of the family home. Now, on one level, this could be your parents who are basically saying, hey, you've had a free ride at home for long enough, we want to downsize, you need to find your own place to live, and now you're being forced to find a flatmate or a friend to move out with. Maybe you're really comfortable living at home and the person that you were dating wants to take things to the next level and wants to move in with you, and you're like, I'm not really ready for that, I like being at home, or I'm just used to having everything where it is. Now, on a different level, your daily life as represented by Venus ruling your 3rd house, or even your career, which is represented by Venus ruling your 10th house, could be heavily impacted by the person that you are living with. Now, this doesn't have to be your significant other. It could just be your annoying flatmate who is, listening to music really loud at night and you're not able to concentrate on some kind of education course that you're doing. Or maybe you're having trouble concentrating on work, especially if you're working from home, because they're causing some kind of disturbance in your home that you share together. Now, on the 6th of October, there will be a new moon in Libra in your 3rd house. Now, there are a lot of aspects going on with this new moon. It will be conjunct Mars at 13 degrees, and that's actually an exact conjunction. So Mars will play a very big role in how this new chapter plays out in your life. This new moon in Libra will also be in a wide conjunction with Mercury at 20 degrees, which will be retrograde at the time, and it will be making an exact in conjunction to Uranus in Taurus in your 10th house. Basically, with this new moon in your 3rd house, this represents you starting some kind of new education course. You could be joining a new team at work. There could be a new business connection that you make or a new friend that you make. The 3rd house also rules over contracts and documents. So you could be signing contracts related to your career as shown by this in conjunction with Uranus in your 10th house. In any case, the nature of whatever this new thing that you're starting, whether that's a course, a team project, a writing project, maybe starting a new social media profile, or you could be learning about something new. Whatever it is that you are starting around this time, it is likely to involve the following topics as represented by Mars ruling your ninth house. So this could be about world politics. This could be about spirituality, religion, travel, the tourism industry, or you could be doing some project or some research on an influential leader. Maybe you're studying one of the world wars. On a different note, Mars rules over your fourth house. So you may be learning about cooking or taking some kind of course related to property, or you could just be working in a small team. Like, you could be doing a cooking class, or you could be doing one of these things with a friend or even with your sibling. In any case, with Mercury ruling over your second house of finances and resources, and Mercury also rules your 11th house of long-term dreams and goals, it's highly likely that whatever new thing that you're starting or whatever new team that you are joining, you have wanted to do this for quite a while, as indicated by Mercury being retrograde. And maybe now you have a surplus of funds available to you to fund this new venture or this new project, or perhaps you have resources now that allow you to engage in these projects. Like maybe you've done a whole lot of study or research and now you feel like you are qualified to write on such significant and important matters. Now you are likely to have support from some kind of influential person or some kind of authority figure. And I say that because this new moon in Libra will be trining Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, which are in your 7th house. Now, this person may be helping you out behind the scenes. And I say that because Jupiter rules over your 8th house, which represents anything which is done in secret. So you may have a benefactor or you may have support from afar, which is showing up for you in a way which is sort of obscured, or you're not even aware of just how much there is someone out there who's rooting for your success. Now, between the 6th and the 19th of October, we will see 4 planets stationing direct, and that is in order, of course: Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury. Now, 3 of those planets are in Saturn-ruled signs, which means that they are in Capricorn and Aquarius. So after this period of time, you will see so much expansion and so much rapid growth. I know many of you have just felt very stagnant and like things are just not progressing as fast as what you want them to. Just you wait, after the end of the month, and especially once we move into November, things will rapidly start picking up the pace, because we will have an eclipse in November and an eclipse in December. And of course, we will see the 3rd and final square between Saturn and Uranus. But I digress. On the 6th or the 7th of October, Pluto will station direct in Capricorn in your 6th house. The 6th house represents your health, your daily habits, and it also represents your work life. So Pluto likes to take our power away so that it forces us to reclaim it and take it back. Now, if you've been experiencing some kind of issue with your health, you may actually have a reprieve from this, because Pluto stationing direct represents a regenerative process. So you may actually feel a revitalized sense of vitality. And this could actually be something which comes as a result of solving some kind of familial conflict. And I say that because Pluto rules over your 4th house, which represents your family life. Now, on the 11th of October, Saturn will station direct in your 7th house. And Saturn rules over not just your 7th house of one-on-one relationships, but your 6th house, which represents your work life and your health. And it also represents your boss. So Saturn being retrograde in your 7th house was basically acting like some kind of pressure on you to take no crap when it comes to bullying in the workplace. Maybe you had to stand up for yourself. Maybe you had to stand up to a boss. Maybe you had to deal with some very tedious details with respect to your health or with respect to the workplace, and now you're realizing that you actually have a lot of choices when it comes to your health or when it comes to where you're working or how you interact with your boss. Now, on the 18th of October, Jupiter will station direct in your 7th house in the sign of Aquarius. So we're seeing Saturn and Jupiter both direct in your 7th house of one-on-one relationships. Jupiter rules over your 5th house, which represents romance and children. And it also rules over your 8th house, which is quite a psychological house. So with both of these planets stationing direct in your 7th house, your one-on-one relationships can be totally transformed. Maybe you have a revitalized sense of optimism when it comes to your relationships with your children or with any children in your life. This could be your nieces, nephews, godchildren, or perhaps you're a teacher. Whatever it is, you will finally be able to experience joy and optimism in these relationships due to a shift at a psychological level, which now leads to a positive result in your one-on-one relationships. I'm sure that after October passes or after you see all 4 planets stationing direct, that you will have so much more patience in these relationships. On a different level though, for those of you who are in a committed relationship, if your partner has been experiencing some kind of hardship or crisis in their life, things can finally turn around for the better now that Saturn and Jupiter are direct. Now on the 18th/19th of October, Mercury will station direct in your 3rd house in the sign of Libra. So I'm sure that for the 3 weeks preceding that, you've been dealing with technological breakdowns, issues with your vehicles, issues with your phone, your laptop, literally all kinds of technology or even appliances as well. And because Mercury rules over your 2nd house of finances and resources, maybe you had some things kind of bugger up with regard to your pay or with your finances. And with Mercury ruling your 11th house, which represents your business communications, your online communications, and your wider network, as in your friends, maybe you were experiencing some kind of disagreements or misunderstandings in those relationships, and now you're able to iron all of those out. Now, also on the 19th of October, Mars in Libra in your 4th house will trine Jupiter in Aquarius in your 7th house. On the property front, you may be researching where to buy, when to sell, where to invest, and so on and so forth. And I say that because Mars rules over your 4th house of property. Now, Jupiter rules over your 5th house and your 8th house. So you may be looking to purchase with your significant other, or maybe you're purchasing something for your children or with your children if they're of an adult age. On a different level though, you could just be arranging your property portfolio with the help of your family, or maybe you're joining forces with your family. On a different note though, this can just see some of you starting a new project or a new course, and it could be related to foreign languages, religion, spirituality. It could be related to the tourism industry. You could just be learning how to fly a plane. On a different note though, you may be learning with another person because Jupiter is in your 7th house. So you could be learning with a friend. You could be taking a course with your child or with a niece or with a nephew, or maybe you are learning in a one-to-one capacity with a mentor or a tutor. Now on the 20th of October, there will be a full moon in Aries at 27 degrees in your 9th house. Every time we have a full moon, which is at least once a month, the moon and the sun are in exact opposition with one another. So the sun, which is at 27 degrees Libra, will actually be conjunct Mars. So this is pretty significant because Mars is the ruler of this full moon. Translation, your 3rd house and your 9th house are heavily impacted during this full moon, which represents your mentality and your perspective as shown by the 3rd house. And then the 9th house is seeing the bigger picture, and both houses represent education, on one level or another. So this full moon for some of you will manifest as completing an important component with respect to your education. So maybe you are completing a thesis, maybe you've finished an important essay, or you finished writing an important article. On a different level, this full moon is actually squaring Pluto in Capricorn in your 6th house. So this is a little bit of a jarring energy, and essentially the 6th house rules over our daily work and it rules over mundane, tedious tasks. So maybe you had to complete some kind of practical component with regard to your education, and now you're actually seeing this industry with a totally different lens. Maybe you had rose-colored or rose-tinted glasses on beforehand, and this square to Pluto in the 6th house is making you realize that, hey, there's some unpleasant aspects to this industry or to this work that I may want to be going into. Now, on a different level, this full moon in Aries can show that you are receiving some positive feedback from a mentor or from a tutor, and that is because this full moon will be sextiling Jupiter in Aquarius in your 7th house. Now, on a different level, with this full moon in your 9th house, if you work in publishing, if you work in the import or export business, you may have some kind of win in your career, but this can lead to an incredible increase on your workload. So maybe you had a huge success and you sold 5,000 books with your first book release, but now there's so much demand that you have to go back to the publishing house and your workload increases exponentially, as shown by this square to Pluto in your 6th house. And it can work the same way if you're in import and export. Maybe there's a lot of demand for the products or the parts that you deal with. On a different note though, and on a more psychological note, this full moon in Aries can lead many of you to having some kind of epiphany about what you want your life to look like and what you want your future to look like. And it could be quite illuminating, yes, but it could also have these undertones of, all right, I know what I want to do, I know what the steps are, but holy cow, there is so much work for me to put in for me to actually transform my life and have the dream life that I want. Now, lastly for the month, on the 22nd of October, Mars in Libra in your 3rd house will square Pluto in Capricorn in your 6th house. Now, this isn't the best transit for me to end the month on, but I've got to keep it real with you guys. This shows that a lot of you are avoiding going to the doctor, and you are maybe plagued by concerns about your health, but you're just not ripping the band-aid off. So this is all about Pluto having control over you. So Pluto in your 6th house of health and ruling over your 4th house, which represents your psychological foundations, indicates that many of you are avoiding going to see some kind of specialist or doctor or someone who can help you with your health, which may be out of balance. This could also be like a naturopath, for example, and you're avoiding it. And this is having a very negative impact on your mentality, as shown by Mars in the 3rd house. The 3rd house represents how we think. And Mars rules over your 9th house, which represents seeing the bigger picture. Now, I'm certainly not saying that there is something wrong, okay? This is a general reading. This is about not getting the answers to the root cause of some kind of health issue or ailment, even if it's just a concern, and the impact of not taking the practical steps by ruling out what it could be is what is causing you to experience a real sense of pessimism. And you may be very negatively impacted in your day-to-day life because, like I said, you could be plagued by these concerns and by these worries. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a health practitioner, and I just want to make it abundantly clear that I am not saying that there is something wrong with your health. I'm saying that if you think that there is something wrong with your health, go and see the appropriate person who can either confirm and therefore set you on the right path with regard to health and what you should be doing and the practical steps, or see the person or the health practitioner who can dispel these concerns and rule them out for good. Now, on a different note, some of you may be cutting out toxic news sources. Now, I'm not saying do or don't watch certain news programs. This is about your social media accounts. This is about the company that you keep and the friends that you have. And this is also about how much time you spend watching the news, reading the news, or, even if you get the news on your phone, like from Facebook or from Instagram. Essentially, Mars square Pluto shows some kind of toxicity which needs to be removed because it is having a negative impact on your mental health and your physical health. So if you are subscribed to certain news sources, or if there's someone on your Instagram feed who just constantly posts stuff which puts you in a terrible mood, just mute them, just unfollow them. With Mars ruling over your 9th house, which represents your optimism with regard to the future and your world beliefs and your spiritual beliefs, this is all about taking stock of what you are allowing into your mind, okay? Because if you are consciously aware of what you are consuming, then you have a lot of control over it. But if it is coming up as, notifications and you're just like, this is putting me in a terrible mood, this is when Pluto's insidious tendency to really get under your skin and cause this deep-seated unease, that's when this is taking effect, especially because Mars and Pluto both rule over your 4th house, which represents your psychological foundations. Now, on the 30th or the 31st of October, Mars will enter the sign of Scorpio, but this horoscope is way too long as it is, so if you want to hear more about that transit, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel because it will be the first thing that I discuss in my November horoscopes. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content on this channel, like I said, hit the subscribe button. Let me know if this reading resonated for you. I hope you enjoy October 2021, and I will see you guys next month.